Nebraska as a player. And here's Sawyer Robertson. Wow, what at this time last year, you weren't here. I'm not sure you were even invited to be here. And here you are, how things have changed, and you haven't changed at all. What's it been like the last 12 months?
Yeah, I've been a little bit of a emotional roller coaster, I guess, is the best way to put it. It's been really cool, though, just because I've been telling people when they've been asking that same question throughout the course of the day. My approach, preparation, mentality hasn't really changed at all. Before I was the starting quarterback, I kind of carried myself and acted as if I was. I wanted to be that guy in the locker room, be the leader, the vocal guy. However I could help the team, that's how I was going to help the team. And even though the circumstances and the expectations might have changed now, I still feel like I'm carrying myself the same way. So,
you last year were in a quarterback battle. You also came in as a transfer. So now you're the starter. You're the unquestioned starter, and you have Walker White behind you. What is your role when it comes to bringing him in the quarterback room and like walking him along as far as like being that leader you talked about, and then sharing some advice because you've gone through pretty much the exact same thing, really?
Yeah. There's definitely a few things. Fortunately, I was able to play and have really, really good relationships with the guys who I played behind, whether it was Will at Mississippi State, Blake, and then DQ last year. And so just kind of like maintaining that continuity with the current quarterback room, whether it's Walker, Nate, Ed, Cade, all those guys. Just I want to be able to give them advice whenever they need it, be the guy kind of like they look up to, even though maybe none of them will admit it. I know I wouldn't have admitted that whenever I was, playing, whenever I was the backup. But trying to help out in any way that I can and be a guy that, they can look up to and kind of learn some things from, for sure.
So this is the time to talk about expectations and things like that. But Coach Aranda was telling us, like, he doesn't really put that pressure. Like, we got to win 10 games to make this a successful season. But for you, like, it's kind of hard to deny the excitement around this team, though, right? Like, do you feel like there are expectations, or do you feel like there should be expectations for you guys?
I think there are, just because of how we ended last season, to be honest. And then on top of that, how many people were returning from last season's team, right? And a core group of leaders, a core group of guys that were making some plays last season. And so, but I also agree with what Aranda said. I think we're doing a good job of tuning all of that out, all those expectations, keeping the main thing. Our process, the way we approach things hasn't changed at all, even though the expectations might have coming into this season versus last season after we finished 3-9, that season before.
Don't bring that up, right? That must just.
I said that a couple stations ago, and everybody kind of like looked at each other like
it's like an
unspeakable.
Coach Aranda said this. Coach Kleiman has said this. Kalani Sitake at BYU. If your players are we players, not me players, then you have a chance. If your best players are like that, and Aranda mentioned that there were some drills and a couple of freshmen or whoever, they were kind of out of sync, and that some of the leaders on the team took them off to the side and had a kind of a strict conversation with them. What's that like, and how do younger players react to that?
Well, it's you got to have – so, like, all the new guys, right, whether it's a freshman, whether it's a transfer, whatever, you come into the university, into Baylor, and we do things how we do things, right? And so if they're out of line, it's like, hey, you might have done this at the place that you were before in high school or at your other previous college, but this is how we do things here. And so that specific instance, some guys were out of line, and some of the leaders on the team kind of got together. And whether it's like a group punishment, making them do things as all the other players watch, or having that strict conversation, stuff like that, at the end of the day, that's more important than letting them get away with it and kind of causing this division where it's like, okay, now you don't want it to be too late whenever you get in season and start playing games.
It stings a little bit more when it's one of your peers. It's like you're in or out.
Yeah,
like
right.
It stings more than the coach is going like, all right, you've heard that a million times, but when
absolutely,
especially if it's not just, you could be a corner of somebody you don't know as well,
right?
But when one of their guys says it too with you, like, yeah, I'm with him, they're like, oh god,
yeah, absolutely. It's like what he was saying, like it's a player run, like we thing versus like, because that's the coach's job, right?
Yeah.
Every person who's played football has gotten their butt chewed by a coach, right?
Yeah.
But when you get it, the same thing happens from another player, one of your peers, one of the guys in the locker room with you, it means something different.
So this is a brand new year, clean white sheet of paper. Last year doesn't matter, whatever. But what do you take from last year, and maybe what do you get motivated by, or just kind of what do you bring from what you've experienced so far into this season to fuel you even further?
Yeah, I think just all the games with each game that I played, I felt more and more comfortable as the season went on. And so just taking everything that I learned from last year and applying that now to this new season, like you just said, it's going to be fun. And hopefully that trend continues where it's just with each and every start, get more and more comfortable as the season progresses. And you just kind of turn into that guy that everybody looks to when somebody needs to make a play, becoming that guy.
What have the conversations been like between you and Coach Spavital? And when you get into a film room, or is it you and him, or you're watching, is that like two chemists trying to come up with something new that no one's seen before?
I can't say enough good things about Coach Spav. Just the way he carries himself, the way he operates the offensive unit, how he coaches us as quarterbacks from a mental standpoint, from a like if you make a bad play, bad read, whatever, hey, play the next play. All that stuff is so important that not a lot of people realize. And then, like you said, when you get in a film room and you hear him start talking ball, it's honestly unbelievable how intelligent he is, how much he cares, the passion, all that. But that's also the same guy you want to play for, And so speaking as the quarterback, and I know Josh and Omar and all the other guys on the offensive side of the ball feel the same way. Like, that's somebody that we'll go to war for every single Saturday, along with all the other position coaches, Coach Miller, Coach Anderson, Coach Hall, Coach Bake, all the guys. And so those are dudes that we're willing to bleed for, that we're willing to go to war for on Saturdays.
There's not a fake bone in his body either. He's like, no. He is Jake Spavital, and he's not anybody else.
He calls it how he sees it. Yeah.
Like, he couldn't be a spy. He just couldn't do it. You talked about expectations and you leave them out. This is probably one of the easier conferences to not have expectations, right?
Absolutely.
Because what you did a year ago, what you did a week ago doesn't really matter. Like, you have to get through them, all through one at a time, and then look at the end and see where you are, because the split's not that big. And the minute you start smelling yourself is when you get caught, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest telltale for that is just looking at last season, right? And I know they're not doing the poll this year, the preseason prediction or anything, but I mean, like, first is last and last became first, and so just looking at that shows you enough about this conference to where it's like, you better bring it every week, or else you're gonna get caught.
What is your favorite part about being a Baylor Bear?
There's not enough time on this show to answer that question.
We got 2 hours left, so
hey, I'll sit here the whole time and talk about it. To be honest, I love the Waco community and the people that are affiliated with Baylor. The amount of people that are willing to pour into you, not just as an athlete, but as a human being, as a Christian, as a student. It's unbelievable. I've had so many people reach out to me and just invite me to lunch, invite me to dinner, stuff that I guess other places don't have. That's what makes Baylor so special, is just the community around Waco, and the sheer amount of people that are willing to invest time into you to better yourself.
I imagine that came into play when, it's a free world now in college football. You've been asked about the portal probably a million times, but how much did that come into play when even the thought crossed your mind of, what does my future look like?
You're saying as far as the people of
how much Baylor.
No, it was whenever all that stuff was going on. It never even crossed my mind to leave, just because of like you said, Baylor is such a special place, and I think even the bad season, I know we're not supposed to talk about, but the 3-9 season. Still, the amount of people that were willing to talk to me and have conversations with me and help me whenever we were going through something tough and something that's not easy to talk about and something that's not easy to live through, it showed me that no matter what happened, this is a place that I wanted to be.
The 3-9, you should. It's a reminder, right? You don't want to go through that again. That's a bad memory that you want to not erase, but you got to remember how you got away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing about it is, I'm looking around. Josh Cameron was on that 3-9 team. Jackie Marshall was on that 3-9 team. Devin Bobby was on that 3-9 team. Colton Price. There's so many pieces that played last year and that are back again for this year that were a part of that 3-9 team. And really the only difference is everybody grew up. We all grew up, we all grew together. But it's still that same group of guys that really nobody liked that 2023 season.
Josh is such a great story because he was a walk-on.
Yeah.
And you talk about a player-led team. You can't really showboat in front of a guy like Josh, right? Because he's done everything the hardest way it could be.
Yeah.
Working it up. So how much is it easier to when you see guys that come in and kind of feel like, hey, I was first team All-State. Dude, this guy has been through the ringer and he doesn't care where you are. We don't care. We are all here.
Yeah.
He's really an amazing story.
Absolutely, and there's a reason that we call him captain on the team, and it's because of how he carries himself both on and off the field. Like you said, with the guys that come in and think they're hot stuff, whatever, that normally doesn't last a whole lot of time, before they get straightened out by Josh or by somebody else. Football is a funny game that it humbles people very quickly, and so I've learned that obviously throughout all the years that I've played. Josh is a great story of that too. Probably one of the best receivers coming out of the state of Texas and didn't even get a scholarship anywhere, and worked his way up to now one of the best receivers in the Big 12, but did everything the hard way. And so football has a funny way of humbling people in different ways. And so it happens to everybody.
So I remember seeing the headline a while back, but I didn't never follow up on it. I just thought about it. Did you go to the Manning Passing Academy?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
It was awesome, man. It was really cool to spend time with other quarterbacks, especially the guys in the Big 12. I got to hang out with a lot of them for most of the time. Just match personality to the guy you watch on film, the guy you see on TV. And so I had a lot of just incredible conversations with them. They're all great people, all the guys that went there. And so it doesn't surprise me at all, why any of them have success on the football field. It's because they're all great leaders. They're all guys that their teammates can follow. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And then there was a rain delay also while we were doing one of the workouts. So I'm sitting on the staircase, kind of waiting for the rain delay to go out. And then Eli Manning came and just sat right next to me. Had a 30-minute conversation with him. And so that was probably the highlight of my trip too, was getting to talk to Eli. I remember having his picture hanging on my wall. And just getting little nuggets of information from him was really, really cool. And so I enjoyed it a lot.
That family just seems like they've done basically everything right. And the way they've handled the players, the way Archie's handled the of course, his sons, and now with Arch. How have you had conversations with Arch?
Yeah, I got to know Arch a little bit at the thing. I can't say enough good things about him. He's a great dude. The way he carries himself, obviously has a lot of pressure, but he's ready for it, I feel like, and that's based off not very many conversations with him. Like I said, I only got a brief interaction with him, but he's a great dude. I really enjoyed getting to talk to him.
Does it make it again when you're looking across from them? It's just like these coaches that are all friends. When you're looking across, you're not friends for 60 minutes.
Right.
But when you're following the league along and you know that you're going to play Jalen Daniels or Avery Johnson or some of these guys, Sam Levitt that's out there, and you have that relationship, you're like, oh, I can't wait because we're both doing so well. I can't wait for that moment.
It definitely creates a fun aspect, a fun competitive aspect to it where you'll do anything to win. But at the same time, you go and you're going to dap them up after the game, tell them good job, all that stuff. So it was definitely cool.
Do you get a sense and looking around this league's got a lot of really good quarterbacks in 2025?
Yeah,
I think that's the headline for the league, quite frankly.
I tried to count the number of guys that were there at the thing. I think there were 7 or 8 guys that were there, but there were still a bunch of good quarterbacks in the Big 12 that didn't go to the thing. And so there are a bunch of really talented, bunch of really good quarterbacks in the Big 12, and so it's going to be a fun year.
Seth Parr. I got to know him. He's at Anna. He was there with you in high school. He and I have traded texts back and forth when you were trying to figure things out. Mike Leach.
Yeah.
When Mike Leach is the one that recruits you to play quarterback, then there's no other questions, right? Yeah. And then now with Spavital, how much do you get to soak all of that in? And is there still anything from what Leach taught you that you still use today?
Yeah, the biggest thing that Leach taught me, he sent me a text, actually. It really wasn't long before he passed away that he texted me. But I'm sure he was watching film. I didn't think I had a very good practice or something. And he said, quit thinking so much. He was like, you're way better when you react. He was like, just play the game you've always played. Don't overthink anything.
And he wasn't at the practice. He was just watching film.
No, he was at the practice. I'm saying he was watching the film of the practice, you know? And so I kind of just took that with me for a while after that and just applied it, It's he's kind of right, just react, trust your preparation, trust what you know, and just go out there and play. But yeah, it's cool getting to play for all of the guys that I've gotten to play for, starting with Coach Parr in high school, and then Leach after that. Grimes after that, and now Spavital.
Yep.
You don't draw it up playing for 3 different offensive coordinators while you're in college. But, I was able to learn a lot of things from Leach. Then when I played for Grimes, got under center, ran kind of like the pro style wide zone offense, got some reps at that, and now playing for Spavital, spreading it out again and throwing it around. And so it's been really good just because, obviously the end goal is to go play in the NFL, and the odds of you playing for the same offense coordinator in the NFL are really low too, and so it's good to just have that kind of experience with different coaches.
Yeah, plus you never know that, like, when instead of talking about the game film, he's going to talk about Geronimo or what kind of steak you should order on a first date.
Listen now. Favorite Mexican food place in Lubbock. That was another question. Yeah, no, all of those.
Here's the thing. He doesn't just go, this is the place. He would tell the story of, you got to get this, and then you ask for this way because of this. And if you have a girl with you, you get this.
If he got off topic while we were watching film, it was a 30-minute conversation. Like and he's just replaying this. He's just replaying the same play. So like, if there were a few times where it'd be a bad play where I would throw a bad ball or a pick or like missed read, and he's just replaying it, telling a story about Geronimo or something. I'm like, can you please go to the next play? I don't care. Like, you can tell the story. Just get off this play. I don't want to keep watching it.
I really want to learn about this. Yeah.
Man,
Have you and Coach Aranda really shared any Mike Leach stories?
Aranda's got some great Leach stories. I don't know how many of them we're allowed to say, to be honest. But,
it's like being in the CIA.
Aranda, we've gotten some good. We both have some really, really good Leach stories. We've gotten to share them. Whenever I was coming from Mississippi State, going to Baylor, we were on the recruiting lunch or whatever, and we sat down with my parents, and we were just talking about Leach and some Leach stories. So that's a vivid memory that I have.
We had you live during the Super Bowl when we were in New Orleans. What was the deal? We got into food or what he couldn't eat or what you could. Isn't that what we did? There was
I can't remember.
I remember talking to you guys. I don't remember the.
I can't remember what it was.
I thought there was some kind of
Cajun food or something. But,
I don't know.
I can't remember. No, I'm not going to be able to remember what it was.
It might have been. What's the worst thing you've eaten that you know that Vic Valoria would make you do extra gassers or whatever in the last, let's say, 2 weeks?
Okay, are you saying bad for your bad for you, or
something that if
like a Twinkie or something?
No, you guys look at it. This guy's not eating a Twinkie. Come on, this is a Twinkie body. That's not a Twinkie body.
Listen. I will say I do have a sweet tooth. I love.
That's what it was.
A little dessert after a meal. I'm a big. So really, just a couple hours ago, I smashed a Twix bar and a Crunch bar. But then like the Nerds clusters, love the Nerds clusters, love ice cream, all the stuff. And I do a good job of I don't just live off the stuff, but I will, if I have a day where I'm like, you know what, I worked pretty hard today, I'll reward myself with a little scoop of ice cream at the end of it.
Yeah. I've heard stories about
cream and syrup and cherry.
I've heard stories about trainers at the training table. One that was at Baylor before.
Yeah.
They had biscuits on the menu for the football players, but it was one of those things that was like a mind game. We're going to have it there, but you can't take it. And so all these players got biscuits. And what he did was he licked his finger and he smashed the biscuit 1-to-1. Who else has a biscuit? I'm coming.
Yeah.
And then basically you get to run this off and you didn't get to eat it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I believe it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a table of candy over there. If you put a lot of hard work in today,
maybe not today. I didn't do enough not enough physical hard work.
Well, you wore your pads for 4 hours this morning.
Did. Was that different? Is that different than how things have been in the past?
Never before.
Yeah, I think that's for I guess because y'all were doing photo shoots or stuff
that. We did do the photo shoots, but I was down here talking to people and I was still in the full pads, and so I was kind of
do you feel like you walk down here and your pads is not a game going on? It's like Halloween.
It was a little bit like that, and the other thing was in the back of my mind. It was I brought this suit, hopefully I get to wear it at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, it's great. It's fun to watch somebody as they mature throughout life, and what you've done as a football player, that's one thing, but what you've done also personally is great. Aranda said he brought up something. He saw an article about you and a girlfriend or something like that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, didn't he say that? That Aranda said he was scrolling through something about Sawyer?
He was a single bachelor. Yeah, that you were a bachelor out in the scene.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I don't know where that article. That's not true. You know, I have an awesome girlfriend who, she's awesome. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
I clearly haven't talked to Rando about it. So.
Well, don't bring it up.
She's not going to watch this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll make sure not to clip this for social.
Hey, good to see you. Thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Sawyer Robertson, quarterback at Baylor on 365 Sports.
Let Camille Johnson